Well, good early morning and a very happy new year to all of you. Congratulations if you managed to roll out of bed in time for this one, the first race of the cross-country World Cup season. It is, of course, stage 3 of the Tour de Ski. Mike Dixon and Patrick Winterton with you throughout the Tour, and already we have to start thinking about how much of a lead various people need to win on the final day. Usberg has had a fantastic couple of days so far and is in the driving seat in the women's Tour. In the men's Tour, it's a little bit closer with Ustiakov just 1.6 seconds ahead of the Swiss hero Dario Colonia, who got a win yesterday, his first win on Swiss snow. Mike, interesting stuff yesterday. In terms of the women's, how much of a factor do you think the altitude is?
It seems to be a big factor, especially, I think you pointed out yesterday, Usberg reacts well here, reacts well in Davos, so reacts well at altitude. And these course profiles today, an easier track, I think it may well suit her once again.
Well, yesterday the women raced over 10 kilometres, 2 times round a 5-kilometre loop. It was a very tough loop indeed. I don't think I've ever seen the world's best skiers looking so ragged on the second part of the course, and far too many went off very quickly. Sadie Bjørnsen was one who shone throughout. Excellent run from her, and for the second day in succession in this year's Tour, Americans getting on the podium. We had Caldwell on day 1 and then Bjørnsen yesterday. Not such a good run from Van der Graaf, the leader of the Tour after day 1, but I don't think we were expecting her to contend. She'll stay in the black bib as the leader of the sprint standings, but she drops right down the order. But what about Weng and Usberg? Weng set the pace when she went through the last of the checkpoints. Usberg, though, started a minute behind her teammate, a #1 rival. How advantageous was that, knowing exactly what she had to do?
Yes, it was a huge advantage, and Usberg, seeing her teammate towards the end, her roommate as well, managed to really inspire her, I think. And for me, that was Usberg's best ever race. When you look at the margin, she destroyed the rest of the field by.
Well, Usberg won here 2 years ago. She won the second stage of the Tour last year. She won the second stage of the Tour this year with this finish, and her margin 25 seconds plus the extra 5 she got over Weng in terms of the bonuses for finishing in the top 3. A very, very useful day indeed. She's 32 seconds clear.
To go faster and faster every weekend, so I feel really good now, and I hope I can keep this shape and be even better in February. Tomorrow is pursuit race, so if I'm in the lead, I guess I'll be chased by a lot of fast girls, so it will be hard to keep them behind me, but I will ski as fast as I can, and yeah, maybe I could keep the lead, but that's gonna be hard.
Well, it's certainly going to be hard work, but she's not scared of a little bit of grind, and Usberg with a lead of 32 seconds, Mike, she doesn't really have a choice but to go hard from the gun. That's far too big an advantage, surely, to hang back and say, I'll ski with the group.
I think she has to go for it. She has to look to get another 5 seconds ahead of Weng with the bonus points.
Yeah, and Usberg certainly knows that she's going to be slower than Weng when it comes to the final day of the Tour, but that interview really was all about the Olympics. It wasn't about the Tour at all.
I was looking at that, Patrick, and remember how well both Usberg and Weng did last year here in the Tour. It didn't work so well for Usberg when it came to the World Championships in February. It worked well, quite well for Weng. She rested beforehand, 2 gold, 1 silver she got at the World Champs.
5 minutes to go before the start of the women's 10-kilometre pursuit. Welcome back to Lenzerheide. Still just a couple of minutes to go before the start of the women's 10-kilometre freestyle pursuit. Technique that, well, suits Jessie Diggins in particular from the top of the order. But Usberg and Weng are very, very capable in both classic and freestyle. And Usberg, we feel, has just that slight advantage being at altitude. She performed well here last year. Heidi Weng needs to limit the damage. She cannot afford her teammate to get more than a minute clear, but she already finds herself 32 in terms of the standings, but she'll start 33 behind because the times have been rounded up. The air temperature at 1.4 degrees, snow at -0.5 degree. Were it a classic race, we would have problems yet again, but it's freestyle today, So it's all about preparing the skis for speed, and the technicians know exactly how to do that. Here's the course. Mike, talk us through it. That first hill slightly smaller than yesterday.
Very much so. I think that plays into, for me, Usberg's advantage. But coming back into the stadium after 1500, then we've got the same big climbs as yesterday. So 700 meters of track distance, and about, well, today it's less, of course. It's only about a 45-meter rise. So an easier course, but it's still 10 kilometers in the freestyle.
3 times round, so essentially 6 climbs. And here are the starting times. Can't see anyone outside the top 10 featuring in the top 3 come the end of the day, but you never quite know. You never know here in Lenzerheide. There's Van der Graaf, who won the sprint. She starts 16, wearing the black bib. Keep an eye out for her. Nepraeva in the turquoise bib, the leader of the Under-23 World Cup standings. The yellow cards just indicating people who've been given a penalty. They just need to be careful. And on a freestyle race, it's I guess obstruction might get them a card, but they're not going to get it for skating, obviously. And further down the order, all the way down to 55. We've had 10 withdrawals in the first 2 days. The biggest withdrawal, I guess, Kieken Randall, the 2 biathletes, Selina Gasparin and Mari Laukkanen, have gone back to their own tours. So the athletes are now ready, and in particular those who go first. Usberg is in the red bib as the tour leader. That's worth 1,000 Swiss francs. Nice way to start the year off. And she's going to be notching up a little bit of money with her efforts. Already earned herself, what, 40,000, almost 41,000 for her skiing so far this season. Pales into insignificance when you think that an alpine skier gets that for 1 victory. But Usberg won't be thinking of that right now. She's got 33 seconds to play with and 10 kilometers to try and hold on to that advantage. Really, for me, Mike, she needs to push the gain over Weng up to a minute. And then we have a very interesting situation in terms of the overall tour.
Yes, by the final day, I think she needs a minute, maybe even more. A minute 30 would be ideal as a lead going into the last day.
Away goes Weng at 33 seconds, and she's got almost exactly the same advantage over Jessie Diggins, who sounds third. So there is a chance, Mike, that the front 3 skiers will do the whole of the 10K on their own. Whereas if we look further down the start order, Björnsson and Nepraeva start pretty much together. Those could team up. Then we got Niskanen, Caldwell and Palmer-Koski. They could do some damage in terms of closing the gap down on the leaders. And then a big gap from number 9 through to number 15. They all start within 4 seconds of each other.
And I think the fact there's Jess Diggins underway, she's going to attack. We know that's her strategy, but I think it's an unusual start field. Normally we have little packs that can work together, so it's a very lonely race for Usberg and Weng, and maybe for Diggins.
Sadie Björnsson away, number 4 on the podium yesterday. Great race for her. And Nepraeva just, what, 10, 11 meters behind her coming out of the stadium. And you can see from Nepraeva skiing, she wants to get in the slipstream of Björnsson as quick as possible. 6 and 7, Niskanen, Caldwell. 8 is Palmer-Koski, who will be disappointed, Mike, down in 8th place in the tour at the moment. At this stage last year, she was sitting in 4th, just 42 seconds behind. So she's twice the distance and obviously twice the number of places away from the leader.
Yes, Finland in general, the World Championships there last February, it had a more sparky team, not quite as good this year for Finland.
Von Siebenthal went away, number 10, 11, 12, Buller Ringvald, Fessel 13, Novakova 14, Jakobsen of Norway 15, Van der Graaf goes 16 for Switzerland. Number 19 just leaving, that's Aina Karzo Saarinen. What magic can she work today? She's got her teammate Lara Mononen starting just after her, and then Lampitz of Slovenia goes 21, and we're already up to a margin of 2 minutes 15, and away on her own is Ingvild Flugstad Usberg, looking to secure a decent lead and give herself a chance of winning the Tour for the first time ever.
Look at the time on the clock, Patrick, 2:38. We're not even up to 1 kilometre. Normally on easy terrain, Usberg would be travelling at what, 2:05 a kilometre, 2:27.
That's a bit sharp.
She's sharp on a flat, on a flat, and that wouldn't be high.
Yeah.
but that's the high point now completed, so an easy journey back down to the stadium for Usberg.
Yeah, in terms of speed, the men really averaging about 27 to 28 kilometres an hour, the women around 25, around that margin.
Well,
now let's see what Weng has managed to do. She started 32 seconds down and she has made no impression. This is really, I think, what we were expecting to see. The difference with stage 3 last year, Mike, where Weng did exceptionally well, moved herself into second place in the tour standings, was that we were down in Oberstdorf. Oberstdorf at an altitude of 800 meters, Lenzerheide an altitude of 1400.
yes, and I think we talked yesterday, Weng not reacting overly well to altitude camps in the summer as well as racing at altitude.
Diggins started 104 behind, and she has kept the margin. In fact, she's cut it by 0.2 of a second on Østberg of Norway. So she's having a fantastic run and keeping herself ahead of Nepreva and Bjørnsen now. Bjørnsen started 115, so that gap has grown slightly.
Bjørnsen looking fairly relaxed. She's very tall, she's very powerful. Nepreva, similar build in behind her. Nepreva looked absolutely spent yesterday, but she looks like she's got some power back today.
Over the last 5 years, which team are you going to give the award for the best improved?
I think it has to be the Americans.
I think it has to be the Americans.
You know, we used to just have one strong American, Keegan Randall, who didn't start yesterday. Now we've got a whole spread of athletes there who believe they can make the podium.
Yeah, 3 Americans starting in the top 7 today, and Colwell's moved herself up into 6th place, 148 behind now, having started 132. There's a little bit of a charge coming from Natalie von Siebenthal. She's working really well, having started at 153. Van der Graaf is now at 204, having started at 203, so she's skiing at the same speed as Østberg. Fantastic start from her, and there she is at the back of that group wearing the black bib as the leader of the sprint standings. We also have the Audi Quattro bonus rankings, which runs throughout the season. I can tell you that Heidi Weng is leading that after her successes earlier on in the season. And today's pursuit actually counts for points in that event. So if she wants herself a nice shiny Audi Quattro come the end of the season, Weng needs to get herself ahead of Østberg. But so far, there's no sign of that happening.
Body language, it's a huge display of how you're feeling. At the moment, it looks to me as if Østberg has overstretched herself early on. She was struggling on that climb. Yes, it's a steep climb. On the other hand, when we first saw Weng coming up to 1 kilometer, she looked so tense, so tight, and maybe that's why she lost 3 seconds to Østberg.
Weng, though, has visual with Østberg. I know the camera is foreshortening the distance, but it's very, very important that Weng can see Østberg, because she'll know exactly what she's got to do. On a steep climb, you'd put your money on Weng winning it usually, wouldn't you, Mike? And the Alpe d'Huez is a classic example of that. Just thinking about the 5-kilometer uphill section of the Alpe d'Huez last year, Weng 1923 and Østberg 1949. So not quite as big a difference as we would have thought, but it's still a couple of percentage points towards Weng.
Yes, of course, it was Nilsson last year who said she's got no chance when she started the final day, the final climb, with such a lead. She said she's not a climber and she will be passed, and that did happen.
I was just thinking that was, we had a quick shot of Paul Makoski, who's working well. Jessie Diggins on her own at the start, and it doesn't look as though Sadie Bjørnsen's managed to close down on her. I think we have to consider Diggins for a possible overall, but she was 20:39, so 50 seconds slower than Østberg on the Alpe d'Huez last year. So Diggins, if she wants to win it, has got to be in the lead of the tour come the end of stage 6.
Very much. Sadie Bjørnsen again looking smooth and composed. I think she's really got a strategy in her own mind. She did yesterday, and managed to get herself on the podium. So important to have your own game plan, and I think it must be very tense racing for Østberg, setting yourself out front. You've got more to lose than you have to gain. If you get caught, there's a lot of psychology in that long and big gap to the lead.
Well, here we get a more realistic indication of the gap between the 2 leaders. 12 seconds gone, and Weng still has to go around that big sweeping 180-degree left-hand turn. And last time we saw, the margin was 35.9 seconds. Has she closed a little bit? I think she might have done. She has done. Weng is starting to make an impression. That's 7 seconds gain on the second climb here on this 3.3-kilometer loop.
Well, imagine the psychology there. Told initially that she had lost 3 seconds. Now she's pulled a whole 7 back. That's good news for Heidi Weng.
Has Østberg gone too fast on the first climb? or is she saving something for the second loop? I think a lot of them learnt some hard lessons yesterday on that 2 5-kilometre loops. Do you agree with me on the state of the skiing? It was ragged. You know, everyone's technique had taken a turn for the worse.
It was brutal. I think the altitude is a factor. You can't quite get the same recoveries. The steepness of the climbs yesterday, and then throw in there the warm temperature, 0 degrees. It made the waxing difficult, so you didn't have good grip under your skis.
Now, Sadie Bjørnsen was at 1:15. That margin has grown. 1:23, so 22 seconds between herself and Diggins, and at the start of today there was only 11 seconds, so Diggins has doubled the lead over her teammate, but Diggins not getting any closer to the lead. There's no significant amount, a couple of seconds maybe, but she's got to do something special on the second lap. Welcome back to Lenzerheide, the first 3 through the 3.3 kilometres, so that's a third of the distance gone. They've got another 2 loops to ski, and the margins at the front are closing. After Østberg extended it on the first climb, she now finds herself just 27.9 ahead of Weng, and Diggins is slowly making a bit of ground. She started 1:04 behind, so she's gained 5 seconds on the race leader and pretty much keeping pace with Heidi Weng. Are these the 3 that are going to dominate the Tour throughout? Only getting prize money only for the top 3 of each day's race, Mike. I know there's a big pot at the end of the Tour, but only prize money to the top 3?
Yeah, I think there has to be, to incentivise the athletes to remain on the Tour. And, you know, we did see last year very slim numbers, especially in the women's field. I think it would be nice to see some spread of the winnings all the way down. Huge commitment for teams to come here, and of course very expensive in Switzerland.
Yeah, I think we started in the men's Tour last year. We started with 86, finished with 40, so 46 athletes pulling out. What about Østberg? Has she lost the speed?
Just feel the tension there, the spread. I know it's very steep, but the legs look very laboured this time. She was sparking up to this high point last time round.
Yeah, and what a contrast. Heidi Weng, a much, much higher cadence. And I think this gap is going to be down to around 25 seconds by the time she comes through. It might even be a fraction less than that. She goes through in 24.2, and Heidi Weng making good ground. Remember, 3 laps of 3.3. If she can get within 15 seconds at the start of the final lap, Mike, you'd then probably put your money on Weng.
Well, right now I'm thinking this is Weng's to catch up with Østberg, and the further we go down the track, the more inspiration Weng is getting.
Now, what's going wrong? Nothing going wrong. She's covering the ground very fast, but a big contrast between Weng and Diggins in terms of technique.
Well, Weng is transferring her weight right to left now, right, left. Jess Diggins is just brutally strong and just attacks her way up the hill. And the left leg, yeah, experts would say there'd be a sharper knee point, would bring the hip point forward, therefore more glide on the left side.
But as soon as that upper body comes forward, like it did with Diggins, you reduce the effectiveness of transferring the power from the arms to the skis. And you've got to try and keep the hips a little bit further forward. You watch Weng, the upper body angle hardly changed between the gradual uphill and the very steep section.
Exactly, and I think that's where next time around, Weng, or as we continue around this track, Weng is getting into a rhythm. She was very tight, very, very tense to begin with. She's now into her maximum race tempo.
Interesting to see that Bjørnsen has broken away from Nepraeva, the Russian staying with Bjørnsen on the first lap fairly comfortably, but now the youngster struggling a little, and she's in danger of losing a couple of places because Niskanen and Palmakoski are working well together. We'll try and update you on the progress of Niskanen and Palmakoski. They started 1:32, 1:33 behind the race leaders, and the margin now at 4.3 is Niskanen's 1:46, Palmakoski 1:47.
Well, I'm surprised further up the track with Nepraeva. She's going through a terrible patch. She can hardly move up this steep part of the hill, so it's going to be a tough 6 kilometers remaining for the Russian.
This is the defending champion in terms of the Tour de Ski, Heidi Weng, and she's looking every bit a defending champion. Fantastic skiing from her so far today. I must say I'm slightly surprised. I thought Østberg would have the advantage being up at altitude today, but Weng has laid it down on the line. Still, there's still a big question mark. Can she do it for 3 consecutive laps?
I think she can. I think Weng is just going to pick the pace up. The brutal climbs here, I think that's what's playing into Weng's hand. And Østberg, like a frightened rabbit up the front. She went so fast from the gun. That locks you up. That builds a lot of lactic acid early, and you can't really flush that. You can't really recover that easy if you attack too fast from the gun.
Yeah, Usberg, incidentally, was leading after 2 stages last year. She dropped to 3rd on stage 3, but as I mentioned, that was a skiathlon in Oberstdorf. And she ended up 12 seconds off the race leader, who was Nielsen. Heidi Weng was sitting in 2nd place, just 4 seconds down on Nielsen's performance. So it's all playing out similar to last year, except we are missing Stina Nielsen, which is a great shame. Her focus purely on South Korea. Marit Bjørgen, Charlotte Kalla, 2 of the other great skiers also missing from the tour this year.
It's a real pity. I mean, on a major championships, you don't get much more major than an Olympics. You can understand why the big names are not wanting to risk the travel, the over-racing, and just building on the performance, on their training for the Olympic Games.
But I don't think Weng needs to feel that she's got it easy because they're absent. I think Weng is a match for all 3 of those missing women in the Tour de Ski.
Oh, it definitely is. She's got the sprinting ability, not quite as sharp as she maybe was some years ago, but she's got the sprinting ability, she's got the endurance ability, and the fact that she's a great climber, that really plays into Weng's hands again.
I'll tell you what, Bjørnsen's doing well. She's starting to haul in. Having lost a bit of ground to Diggins, she's starting to close the gap. Remember, they were 25 seconds apart. They started 11 seconds. The gap widened to 25. So when they go through 5.6, it'll be interesting to see whether Bjørnsen has got back to within 15 seconds or so of Diggins. And if that is the case, she might make a move. Big change in Weng's position. She hadn't even finished the climb when Usberg went through the 5.6 last time round. Are we under 20 seconds? Not quite, but it's a good game. Remember, it was 32. She needed to haul back, what, 11 seconds on each loop. At the moment, she's just taken 9 seconds out of Usberg.
This next phase, so we drop down the hill, or Weng drops down the hill now, then the next major climb, I think, is where Weng will pull back another 4 or 5 seconds. So at the next split time, I would expect that to drop well below 23, maybe down to 17 seconds.
Lowest part of the course at 6.6, so they've got another kilometre to go before they reach there. Diggins was 32 behind Weng at the start. You can see that that gap has widened, but she was 104 down on Usberg, so she's taken 3 seconds out of Usberg so far, and actually holding off Sadie Bjørnsen quite well. I think that last shot on the uphill climb made it look as though Bjørnsen was breathing down Diggins' neck, but that is not the case.
Further down the track, by my calculations, Theresa Stadlober is setting the fastest time, moved up from 29th to 19th, running about the same speed as Weng.
The leaders with 4 kilometres to go here in Lenzerheide. Well, an interesting situation developing here in Lenzerheide. Usberg, I think, sensing the danger of the advancing Weng, and she's just started to put her foot down, extended that lead to 24.5 seconds. And they have just 3.3 kilometres to go. The Finnish pair of Palmakoski and Niskanen have been sharing the lead. Palmakoski wearing 8. She'll be really disappointed to be down in 8th place after just 2 stages of the Tour. As I said, she was in 4th at this stage last year. She then went on to finish 2nd in the Tour de Ski with a really good climb up the Alpe d'Huez on the final day.
Quite interesting there. Palmakoski was wanting her teammate Niskanen to come through and assist her in the chase to pull back Bjørnsen. Niskanen is struggling. She couldn't take the lead there, so not really able to help Palmakoski to go through.
Okay, what have we got? 11 seconds between Sadie Bjørnsen and the 2 Finns. Mike, which way do you see that going?
Oh,
I think the fact that the pair are together.
I think so. I think Palmakoski's got on the mission, and I think they will close the gap down.
Now, look how much lighter Usberg looks on this climb. I think this hasn't been too bad a race for her. She looks much fresher than she did last time round, but I'm just wondering whether she was actually trying to conserve something for the last climb. She knows this is the danger part of the course.
This is a lot better, isn't it? She went through a very bad phase, so maybe she hit the start so fast, went through a dip in her race, and now she's coming back.
24.5 last time they went through a split time. Has Weng managed to claw some back on the climb? She might have done, but it's not going to be a significant amount. 22, 23, 24. Well done to Usberg. She's maintained the lead on the first climb. One big climb to go before they reach the 10-kilometre stage. Diggins has upped the tempo. It's been a lonely old race for her.
What a fighter she is. She just attacks and keeps on attacking, and give me the hard work and I'll fight even harder. That's her mentality. Trying to go to the left side of the track, staying in the shade as long as possible. Faster snow when it's that little bit colder. This is a good performance. In fact, this is going to be one of the fastest actual track times from Diggins.
104.9 or 105 she was released at, and still travelling faster than Usberg, but it may go back to around 105. This could be the ticket to securing third place in the Tour overall. I know it's only stage 3 of 7.
Sadie Björnsson, now she's got the two Finns, Parmakoski, Niskanen, breathing on her almost, and but she's still keeping wonderful flowing technique there. Right side lifting not quite as far, the right leg there. Earlier on in the race, it was lifting further up into the hill, chasing Finns.
Yeah, incidentally, if you're not fully clued up on the format and the program for the Tour de Ski, we head to Oberstdorf from Lenzerheide. It's what, probably 85 kilometers or so, or as the crow flies, but 100, 110 depending on which road you take. It won't take them too long to get there. And we've got a sprint on the 3rd of January. We've got a mass start freestyle on the 4th, and then they get another day off as they travel to Val di Fiemme. And then, of course, they have the 10-kilometer classic on next Saturday, and that will be followed by the Alpe d'Huez on the Sunday, the traditional finish to the Tour. So 4 stages to go after today, and there's a big battle going on for the minor places. Number 13, Nicole Fessel, has been at the front of that group pretty much throughout. Von Siebenthal of Switzerland is still in there. Haven't seen Nebreva for a while, Mike.
16th now, 2:21, just seeping time. Look at her, she's staggering over the top of this climb. Can't stay with that chasing pack.
Yeah, she started number 5, and maybe she's now thinking, maybe I should have rested, sat out the Tour. She's one of the under-23 athletes, but I think she wants the under-23 title for this year, and she's doing well in terms of that. Now, Usberg, has she managed to keep the lead at 24-25?
It's been a gutsy performance to realise that her teammate had closed it down to, what, 22 seconds, and then she really dug deeper again, extended that back at last timing, 24.2. I thought Weng was going to close the gap. I thought she'd be at 17 seconds on the top of the big climb, but she's clearly put so much energy out early on. Now struggling.
I think that gap looks more than 24 seconds, to be honest, but we'll find out soon enough. Here comes Weng, still lots of life in her. Trying to think, there's not going to be much of a gain or a loss either way with the two leaders, Mike, but where else on the Tour can Usberg gain some advantage? The sprint in Oberstdorf?
Maybe a little. I mean, we've seen historically, they're so well matched historically with their podiums, sorry, with their wins, not so much the podiums. Maybe the advantage has to be with Weng when it comes to the final day, without a doubt.
What about the penultimate day, the 10-kilometer classic in Val di Fiemme? After yesterday's performance by Usberg.
Well, that's right. Usberg, you know, she's not an out-and-out classic skier. You'd always say Heidi Weng, but this season she's got that together, and she can win now at 10 kilometers and smash the field yesterday by such a huge margin.
Yeah, and if she can get 24 seconds on Heidi Weng on the penultimate day, then we do have a very interesting situation for the final day. Jessie Diggins still hanging on, and with every shot we get of Diggins, there's another part of the body that's moving somewhere that it shouldn't be, but you just can't take away her grit. It's fantastic watching her out on the snow. Usberg looks far more lively now. 8.9, just 1,100 meters to go, and most of it's downhill. The hard work is pretty much done for Usberg, and look, she's pushed it back. She's certainly over 22 seconds, which is where she was last time they came through that part of the course. The Finns catching Sadie Björnsson. They were 11 seconds down last time we saw them.
You know, I think if they could have worked together, but Parmakoski doing all the work and Niskanen just hanging on for survival, they're not working together.
Weng at 27.5. They could end up 32 seconds apart, which is exactly where they started. They could have just shaken hands on it and said, let's sit it out.
It must have been a frightening day there for Usberg, knowing full well that the rest of the world is chasing her, but especially our mate Heidi Weng. She was very tense to begin with and eventually got into a race feeling.
Yeah, normally we get shots of the coaches giving splits. I haven't seen any of that. Maybe the coaches have decided not to go where the cameras are. But prior to the race, Usberg would have told the coaches, this is what I want. And maybe she only wanted a split every time they came through the stadium.
Possibly. Look at the clock now. It's not in Jess's favour. Of course, she's still holding third, really suffering now. And what, she's lost some 10 seconds since her last timing.
Yeah, the closest Diggins got was 58 seconds, so it's drifted away by 15 seconds or so. The gap between Bjørnsen and the Finns is closing very rapidly now. From 11 seconds, it's down to something like 11 metres.
They're running out of time, though, Patrick. This is the easier part of the course back to the finish line, but Palmakoski's on a mission to try and catch Bjørnsen.
1,100 metres to go. Bjørnsen's not a bad sprinter. Just trying to think. I think Niskanen might fancy her chances of nipping it on the line, having not done too much of the donkey work. Here's the finish coming in from Usberg, and she's driving for every half a second. Another win for Usberg. She takes her tally up to 9 on the World Cup Tour. But the situation in the Tour de Ski far more important to her at the moment. Great ski, Mike. As you said, she pushed very, very hard at the start, but maybe that was just to gain a psychological advantage, make Ven work.
Maybe, but I think she's on great form, Usberg, and only that great form allowed her to come back strong.
Not much of a change on the downhill section. Weng losing just 0.3 of a second between 8.9 and 10 kilometres.
So the big factor, of course, Usberg picking up 15 seconds bonus, Heidi Weng only 10, so a 5-second shift.
Yeah, so many sports, Mike, are made by great rivalries, and we've got a fantastic one developing between Weng and Usberg. As you said, they are so evenly matched, except on the long, steep climbs.
But the form, you know, when you look at Usberg's form and her climbing today was pretty good. Again, they seem pretty matched over the 10K free.
Jessie Diggins, 1:15 behind last time we saw her. At the end of stage 3 last year, she was well over a minute behind and in 5th place in the Tour standings. And she's improved on that, in 3rd place now, 1:16.9. And I think the athlete she'll be concerned about is Palmakoski of Finland, who's obviously dangerous in the closing stages. Here's the sprint for the 4th place. Sadie Bjørnsen has been caught on the downhill. Good, powerful skiing from Palmakoski, wearing 8. Looks as though she's going to nip this one. Niskanen's going for it in the left-hand lane, but it's going to be Palmakoski who goes for. Bjørnsen 5, Niskanen 6, and the margin 1:46 behind. Good strong sprint coming in from Nicole Fesslep. Germany wearing 13, but she can't overtake Jakobsen of Norway, who's had a good day today. Jakobsen at 1:59, having started 1:58.7. In fact, they let it go at 1:59, so nothing gained, nothing lost from Jakobsen. But that's a really good measure of where she stands at the moment.
Stadlober 29:12. That's track time. That's a good time. Must be up with the best.
Yeah, that's a wonderful performance from Stadlober. She is 10th in the World Cup standings, having a much better season, to be honest, Stadlober. She's made great leaps.
27-second gain from Stadlober to Usberg.
Just looking for Caldwell of the United States. The Americans with 3 in the first 7 starters. The 3, Nepraeva of Russia, she's dropped dramatically down the order from 5th down to 17th, 2:42 behind. So she's lost a minute and a half on the tour leaders today. And there is Caldwell coming in. She's had a similar fate. Now 2:59, having started 1:32. So she's lost just under that minute and a half. 25 making good gains. That's Emma Viken of Sweden. Sweden with a much weakened team with the absence of Kalla and Nielsen. And a good run from Viken, coming in just ahead of Finland's Mononen. 34. This is great from Elisa Brocard of Italy. She's gained some 12 places and actually only lost 20 seconds or so to the best on the tour. And Van der Graaf in 24th position now. Van der Graaf starting 16th, so a few more places lost by her. 59, this might be one of the best performances of the day. Thomas Hugues France. And she's gone all the way up into 29th position, so 30 positions gained, and she was 4:27, but she started in the wave, so we'll have to wait and see, and the wave went off at 4 minutes, so we'll have to wait and see exactly where she starts. '23, that's Maria Nordstrom, and then a couple of more Norwegians, 55 in there. That's Tira Ludnes Veng. Sia Scardoni just finishing, and a powerful finish coming in from Laura Gimler of Germany. The German women, I think, can be satisfied with the way things are going at the moment. I'm certainly not looking at South Korea for Germans taking medals, Mike, although Ringvald looked pretty good in the sprint earlier on, so maybe that's what she's got her eye on. But in 4 or 5 years' time, I think maybe the next generation of young Germans coming through.
Oh, I think so, yeah, 3 of them top 13 at the start of today, and that's improved. Vessel moving up to 8th position, and 5 in the top 30.
And that's, of course, if they don't all pick up rifles and take up biathlon, which is where the German women are doing exceptionally well again.
Well, it must be a pretty sharp rivalry now. Usberg, Veng, sitting around the same lunch table, sharing the same place, living so close together, as they always have done since they were juniors in cross-country skiing.
Well, the winner of this pursuit over the last 4 years has always finished on the podium. So Usberg, I think, can be happy with that, but it's the win that she wants. She doesn't want second or third. What a race we've had today. No change in the top 3 positions. I guess that was predictable, but there was plenty of ebb and flow. Here is the winner, Usberg.
Back and forth, you know, she would gain some seconds, lose some. Every time we had a different intermediate, it would change. You were aware of that when you were going?
Yeah, I got some splits throughout the whole race, and Heidi, she was getting closer, and then I got some seconds, and she got some seconds, and it was like a living hell, actually. I had to fight so hard, and it was kind of slow snow, so it didn't feel good at all, but I just tried to think, okay, maybe Heidi feels the same and all the other girls feels the same, but I saw Heidi throughout the whole race, and she looked so good, and I felt, yeah, that was hard. I had to fight really hard.
Well, congrats on another win today, and the tour lead heading into a rest day.
Yeah, it's a good way to start the new year, and good feeling to keep the leader bib, and I guess I will lose it after the next race, but I will fight hard for it.
We'll see. see you in Oberstdorf.
Yeah, see you.
Well, a very animated interview with Ingvild Usberg taking the win, her 10th World Cup win. But very honest, nice to have an interview without the word satisfied in it, and actually giving away the fact that how tough it is when you get so much information coming about your opponent.
Loved what she said, a living hell. It really was tough out there for Usberg.
Well, let's look at the Tour de Ski standings now. We're back where we started after 3 rounds. 33 seconds today, 32.8, with Veng still chasing. Usberg needs to do well in the next sprint. That's absolutely paramount if she's going to win the Tour this year. And well done to Jessie Diggins. Again, an American on the podium, 3 stages in a row. So, fantastic skiing. We still have 1 race to go. The men's race starts at 11:45 UK time. 15 kilometres, Usberg versus Cologne. Coming up next, ski jumping from Garmisch.